Talk about this with a member of the Intelligence Committee, Democratic Congressman Krishnamoorthi of Illinois. Thank you for being with me. Of course,
good morning.
Building up to Wednesday's testimony is the Wall Street Journal reporting this morning that there were apparently these emails keeping Mulvaney and Rick Perry abreast of this request for Ukraine to do this investigation of the Bidens. Given all of that, what is the first thing you plan to ask Ambassador Sondland on Wednesday?
Well, gosh, Ambassador Sondland was at the center of this alleged scheme to condition military aid and a White House meeting on investigations of Trump's political rivals here. I think that we'll be asking him a lot about the events leading up to the July 25th call, as well as the day of the call and events subsequent to that. He was intricately involved with all of those events, and so he will be a very, very important witness.
And apparently he's the one who took the phone call from the president on the day after, July 26th, asking for an update. My question to you on that, though, is twofold. What if he says, I don't recall that call, because he didn't bring it up in his two prior testimonies? What do you do then? And do you think he's a reliable witness at this point, given that he had to amend his previous testimony?
Well, it's true that in his deposition testimony, he didn't seem to remember a lot of things, a lot of events, a lot of conversations, meetings, and telephone calls. But that subsequently, when he learned about what others said, specifically, Ambassador Taylor, who was a party to many of these phone calls, he then amended his testimony and put forth a declaration, a 4-page declaration with what he's since remembered. Perhaps at this hearing on Wednesday, he might even further remember events. We don't really know, but that's why we have the hearing and have a chance to actually question him live.
So something that happened late on Thursday, I'd like your take on that, and that is that Ukraine's foreign minister said, and I quote, Ambassador Sondland did not tell us and certainly did not tell me about a connection between the assistance and the investigations. I have never seen a direct relationship between investigations and security assistance. Does that harm the Democrats' case here?
Well, I think that the important fact here is that it was never alleged that the foreign minister was part of these conversations or meetings in which some of these very troubling events occurred. And so I think that one of the most important things that we'll learn this week is, who was a party to the calls in which, even Ambassador Sondland admits in his declaration, in his addendum to his deposition testimony, that there was military assistance conditioned on the public announcement of investigations by the Ukrainians of Donald Trump's political rivals.
So even though you have President Zelensky saying, in public, I felt no pressure, and Ukraine's foreign minister saying this, you do not think it's an impediment to the case that the Democrats are building now. One final thing on this, and then I'd like to move on, and that is on Hunter Biden. We heard in Ambassador Yovanovitch's testimony and her exchange with Republican Congresswoman Elaine Stefanik about how the Obama administration and the Obama State Department prepared her for her Senate confirmation hearing, and prepared her by telling her a question may come up about Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, then the vice president's son, being on the board of Burisma. And, here's how telling her that may come up, be prepared for that question. And she confirmed under oath on Friday, yes, that is the case. Given that, do you believe there is any reason to call Hunter Biden as a witness? Do you believe there are any questions he should answer? Because, of course, he's on the Republicans' list of 8 witnesses they would like called.
I don't think so. And I think the fact that she talked about that is just indicating that these allegations have been kicking around for years, mainly in right-wing circles and so forth. But the main point here is that...
But it was the Obama State Department that thought it was worthwhile for her to know that it would potentially come up in a Senate confirmation hearing.
Absolutely, because she was obviously going to be questioned by various senators from various parties. So I think that in and of itself doesn't signify that Hunter Biden engage in any kind of nefarious wrongdoing. I think the most important thing that we know about the Hunter Biden episode is that witness after witness with knowledge of what was going on in Ukraine said that the Ukrainian prosecutors general who looked at it dropped all of these investigations because they thought that this was a debunked argument against Hunter Biden. And in fact, what we learned on Friday was that despite the fact that the Trump administration maintained that they were trying to fight corruption in Ukraine, they decided to fire the corruption fighter. That was namely Ambassador Yovanovitch.
And again, I would just note before we move on, no evidence of wrongdoing has been put forward about Joe Biden or Hunter Biden in this scenario.
Yes.
Before we go, I have the letter here that you sent to the FDA about what has happened to the potential ban on flavors of e-cigarettes. The New York Times has reported overnight the president may be backing away from his call to ban those flavors, something that you called not long ago incredibly encouraging from the president. The White House says they're just in an ongoing rulemaking process. What answers are you hoping for from the White House and the FDA on this?
Just to kind of level set what's going on for your viewers, we have a youth vaping epidemic right now. Almost 28% of high schoolers are vaping and 5% of middle schoolers. And one of the prime reasons why youth get hooked onto vaping is because of the flavors available for e-cigarettes, whether it's mint or tutti frutti or creme or mango or what have you. The Trump administration, in a welcome sign, proposed banning it. That was 2 months ago. We have not heard anything since, and we just sent this letter to the Trump administration, namely the Office of Management and Budget in the White House, as well as the FDA, basically saying, where are the rules that will promulgate this ban? We are hearing, especially from the New York Times story, that lobbyists and special interests are trying to stop this ban, and I just have to say, our kids are not for sale. We cannot have them subject to marketing by the e-cigarette industry because, quite frankly, it's so dangerous for youth that they should have no part in it whatsoever.
Congressman Roger Krishnamoorthi, we appreciate your time on all of these issues this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks
very much. You got it.